Hey everyone, welcome back to History Saver 1941 and a little bit of a different video today. If you can't tell, I'm in my kitchen, and that is because we're going to be trying and experiencing some history for ourselves. What am I talking about? Well, this is what I'm talking about. The Boston Tea Party was an American political and mercantile protest on December the 16th, 1773 by the Sons of Liberty in Boston and colonial Massachusetts. The target was the Tea Act of May 10th, 1773, which allowed the British East India Company to sell tea from China in the American colonies without paying taxes apart from those imposed by the Townshend Acts. The Sons of Liberty strongly opposed the taxes in the Townshend Act as a violation of their rights. In response, the Sons of Liberty, some disguised as Native Americans, destroyed an entire shipment of tea sent by the East India Company by throwing it into the Boston Harbor. The crisis escalated, leading to the battles of Lexington and Concord on April the 19th, 1775, which marked the beginning of the American Revolutionary War. So, the Boston Tea Party, one of my favorite subjects in American history, and of course, it's got to be one of your favorite subjects in American history as well, because it helps lead us into the American Revolution and the creation of the United States of America. Well, we're going to try some of that history for ourselves. I've got an awesome package here today, and let's dive into this thing. So this is the teas of the Boston Tea Party, historic American teas and handcrafted cherry wood display. And if you open this up, well, this year is the 250th, or 2023 was the 250th anniversary of the Boston Tea Party just a few months ago. You've got cards that talk about tea brewing and how to properly make tea in Charleston, so Tea Parties in Charleston, and why it was important. And then you have this card about these teas in this box. This is Teas of the Boston Tea Party, and it gives you a history of all of the teas that are included in this gift set. And we've got our water on brewing in the background here in our 2-hour kettle. And we're going to try out some of these teas from the Boston Tea Party. These are the teas that they had during the Boston Tea Party. We're going to go through all 5 of these teas one by one, try them out for ourselves, and try a piece of history and tell you what it tastes like. So the first tea we're going to try is right here. This is the Colonial Boohoo tea, and this is a black tea. It is a black tea blend, it's lightly smoky, and it is pronounced boohee, not boohoo, boohee, boohee. Okay, boohee. It is a distinctive black tea blend with a light smoky flavor. It was so popular in colonial times that boohee became the common word for tea during that time frame. It was imported in larger quantities than all other teas during the time of the Boston Tea Party because it was so popular. During the Boston Tea Party, 240 chests of boohee were destroyed. So we're going to throw on some of this boohee tea for ourselves to try, and we'll tell you, well, exactly what history tastes like. Okay, so I have the Colonial Boohee tea right here in my hand. The cork is off. I'm going to give it a smell test because you always got to smell tea. Am I right? Okay, right off the bat, this tea smells like a bunch of wood chips. Honestly, if you've ever smelt burnt wood, that's exactly what this tea smells like. It smells like burnt ash. I said ash, A-S-H, okay? But maybe it tastes good. I don't know. Let's see. I wish you could smell this through the camera. I honestly do. And we're going to pour some in to our steeper here. Most awkward camera angle in the world. Yeah, I'm dropping tea on you. I'm sorry. All right, so our tea is in our little tea steeper. I think I'm doing this right. I'm going to put that into our kettle and let it brew for, let's see, 3 to 5 minutes. So as we wait for this beautiful tea to steep, now the Oliver Pluff and Company is located in Charleston, South Carolina. Well, Charleston, or Charlestown, as was the name back then, had a very interesting little tea party of their own. In November of 1774, there was an incident where several teas from the West India Tea Cup or Trading Company were dumped overboard. Now, I actually have a coin from the West India Company that I wear all the time. It's from the Admiral Garner shipwreck. But that was an interesting time in Charleston because they dumped it overboard and then left as if nothing had ever happened. In December of 1773, when the Boston Tea Party took place, Charlestown again had their own little things going on with the tea there. They met in the Great Exchange Hall, talked about what was going on and how unconstitutional it was to tax the teas without their authority. Well, they put the tea up under lock and key that was there in Charleston in December of 1773 and didn't touch it. So, yeah, very interesting time in Charleston as well. A lot of history with the Boston Tea Party is actually linked to Charlestown. And there was kind of this own little tea party there where they were throwing tea overboard in 1774, and then the meetings that took place there in 1773. So very cool and interesting history into the Tea Party actions in Charlestown. Okay, so you have to, again, excuse me, I don't generally drink tea a whole lot, but I think I'm doing it well enough to try it out. And this is what I've got. I've got my little steeper here with a tea in it, if that's even what it's called. And we're going to give this a smell while it's in the kettle here and see what it's smelling like. It smells like wood ash. It smells like a fire. Honestly, it smells just like a campfire. I don't know about this. It smells straight up like a fire at a reenactment. I mean, I like the smell, but at the same time, I'm kind of weary about trying this. Okay, so I did also get some of these stirs from Oliver Pluff and Company. It's just honey, really. But I'm not going to use those today because I want to experience this tea in all of its taste, in all of its glory, and I'm pouring tea all over the place. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, that come out decent, I think. At least there's color there, so I'm happy with that. Let me wipe up my mess. So there's a look at the tea. I think it should be a little bit darker. I don't know, but I mean, that's enough to try. At least it has some color. And let's give it a taste here. To Liberty. Boohee tea. Most popular tea in colonial America during the American Revolution or Boston Tea Party. I don't like it. It tastes like a wood fire. It honestly tastes like I am drinking ash. It is a really neat experience, though. I will say that. It's not the worst taste in the world, but it's just not for me. Very weird. Very, very weird tea. I will say that. So, colonial history. It can stay in colonial. Whew. All right, so tea number 1 on a ranking scale from 1 to 10 on the Boohoo tea. I'm gonna give it a 6. I'll be fair because it is a very cool tasting this and tasting a piece of history. But do I like it? I mean, it's tolerable, but I wouldn't choose to drink it. So the most popular tea, apparently during the colonial times, is not popular with me. So let's move on to the next one. So the next tea we're going to try is the Lamp Sang Souchong. It is to be brewed for 195 degrees for 3 to 5 minutes. Its flavor is strong and smoky. Smoky seems to be the commonality here. It is meant to complement the natural taste of black tea without overpowering. This is a Chinese offloaded the larger, cheaper Souchong tea leaves to the British East India Company, which included the Souchong teas as one of its common imports to America. In the Boston Tea Party, 10 chests of Souchong tea were destroyed. So only 10 chests of this were destroyed during the Boston Tea Party. And, well, hopefully it's going to be good. All right, so let's do our smell test on the Lapsang Souchong tea. Again, I can really smell the smoky flavor. You know, everything was smoked over a fire back then, so I think that's the reason why it was like this. I've got water brewing everywhere, just don't mind it. I'm not for sure how this is going to turn out. Let's see. Into the steeper we go. There we go. Yeah. All right, let's get it. So while we're waiting for the second tea to brew here, I'm just trying some of the first still. This is certainly not the best filmed video I've ever did. But hey, we're just having fun on this one, trying out some history. I still don't like this. The tea's still not good to me. Boohee tea is making me boohoo. Our Lapsang Souchong is brewing right here. And I'm sure some of you guys are going to say, Josh, you're not trying this the way it was meant to be with sugar, cream, or whatever. That's because I want to experience the true tea flavor. I don't want anything overshadowing it. I want to taste the tea. Not sugar, not creamer. I want to taste what's in this. So that's the reason why. Okay, so got our Lapsang Souchong tea here. We're just going to pour it out. Maybe I should have let that steep for a little while longer, but it's okay. It's a little bit darker than the first, and let's give it a smell test. All right, so Lapsang Souchong tea. Again, tastes a lot like the first tea. Not as smoky. It's got a lighter smoky flavor. It doesn't smell anything like the tea today. I'll put it that way. Let's give it a test. That's hot. No, I like this one better than the first. I would give this a solid 7. But it's got a little bit of a smoky flavor. Not quite as much as the Colonial Boohee that made me boohoo, but it's interesting. Honestly, I like this one. All right, so the next tea we were trying is this one right here. This is the Young Hyson tea, and this is the Young Hyson tea here, light and sweet green tea. It says, let's get the focus here. Brew for 140 for 3 minutes is named for the merchant Philip Hyson. Young Hyson was highly prized, and the tea had a higher tea tax than other teas. It was created from green tea leaves picked in the spring, then thinly rolled to have a long, twisted appearance. In the Boston Tea Party, 15 chests of Hyson were destroyed. So let's test out the Young Hyson. All right, so here I am standing over you again because I need both hands, and I'm actually filming from my phone today, just because I didn't feel like setting up everything. So this is the Young Hyson tea, and it smells like a really good green tea. There's no smoky smell to this one. Which, don't get me wrong, I like the smoky smell, but I'm just kind of, I've never had that smell in tea. So I don't really know how to take it. This actually smells quite good. So while that's steeping, I come back to my cup of the Lapsang Souchong here. And I got to say, this is I really enjoyed the smoky flavor in this one. It's not overpowering like it was with the Boohee. Yeah, this is a pretty good cup of tea there, chap. All right, so our young Hyson tea has brewed. Let's pour some in here. Yeah, it looks like a very good green tea. And while we wait for our cup to cool down of it here, let's give it a smell test. That smells really cool. It smells really good, okay? It smells like a really good natural green tea. And if you guys have ever had sushi and you smell the seaweed, it kind of has that smell to me. I mean, it's not seaweed, but it just has kind of similar smell to that. Very natural, kind of leafy. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. And yeah, let's check it out. Okay, I committed the sin. I threw an ice cube or two in here just to speed up so we can actually try this. So let's give the Hyson green tea a try. The most expensive tea of the colonies. Very bitter. Okay. Whew. The smell it smells good, but the taste is way too bitter for me. This definitely would have to be cut with something. I mean, it's a very, very pure green tea. I mean, it definitely is drinkable, but man, is the aftertaste of this bitter. It tastes like I have a penny in my mouth right now. If you were a kid and you remember putting a penny in your mouth, if you ever did that, the taste of metal or iron, that is the aftertaste of this. And, whew, is it strong. You know, on a scale from 1 to 10, I got to give this one a 5. It is not my most favorite. Smells good, but the taste is bad. So next up from Oliver Pluff and Company is the Single tea. That is this tea right here. Second from the end, this vial right here. And this is a curled green tea leaf. And it says to brew for 140 for 3 minutes. Let's go to our card. Singolo is named for the tea that originated in Sangalo Mountains in China. A sum of 60 chests of the Singalo were destroyed in the Boston Tea Party, though it was not yet a common import to the colonies. The tea is picked later in the season of larger leaves, is pan-fired and then curled and dried, yielding a buttery green tea infusion with a plum-like finish. All right, so I have the Singalo tea right here, corked. The cork is off. Let's smell it. Smells almost just like the first in a way, just not as strong. Yeah, there's not much of a smell coming out of this one. Smells a lot like the first, what I can smell, but it's not very strong at all. Let's give it a shot. All right, standing over you again, and let's put our Singalo tea in our little tea thing, strainer, whatever it's called, and going in. So while we're waiting on the tea to steep here on our Singalo tea, I just want to emphasize why tea was important during the colonial times and why it wasn't coffee. Well, coffee come about because it was easier to get and it just become the Americanized version of tea later on after the Boston Tea Party. But the Boston Tea Party is what led to coffee becoming the big factor in America as far as a drink in the first place. Now, there's a huge population of us here in America that still drink tea instead of coffee. Some people prefer tea over coffee. Some people prefer coffee over tea. I drink coffee. I have drank tea before. It is not particularly my number one favorite. I love coffee. But yeah, the Oliver Pluff and Company has done an outstanding job with this. And I am really, really enjoying trying out what they actually drink and threw into the Boston Harbor at the time. This is a very cool piece of history to experience for yourself. And I highly urge you to pick one of these up. I hope I gave it long enough to steep. Looks mighty weak. But that's kind of like pea. That's not pea. It's Singalo tea. But yeah, let's give it a try. All right, so the smell of this tea, it smells just kind of like the last tea, just a little bit weaker. It is another green tea. The color of it's a little bit different. But let's try this awesome piece of history, shall we? Okay, it's still bitter, but it's not as bad as the last one. Still not my favorite tea by far. But I could actually drink this one. It's a little bit weaker than the last. And yeah, it's not bad. I will get this one about a 7. About a 7. All right, so our next and final tea up is this one. This is the Kangao tea. You can see it there, a lot darker than these two. Now, the Kangao tea is a black tea of high mastery. It is set for $1.95 for 4 minutes of brew time. It is grown in southern China. Kangao is one of the great historical teas of China. The word Kangao refers to a tea made with highest mastery or careful skill to produce thin, tight strips without breaking the leaves. This results in a toasty black tea and is smooth and sweet with the flavor of baked apples. That's going to be interesting. In the Boston Tea Party, 15 chests of Kangao were destroyed. So this is supposed to taste like apples. I love apples. I got a feeling this could be my favorite. All right, last tea into the cup we go. Hope I let it steep long enough. It looks okay. There we go. Nice black tea. And let's give it a try. All right, Kangao tea here. And let's give it a smell test. I don't smell a whole lot. Let's go ahead and taste it. That is good. That is great. Oh, that's my favorite yet. It does have a very, very hint. It has a little hint of apple in it. Not a whole lot, but I have a feeling I didn't let it steep long enough. But I'm going to tell you right now, this is my favorite yet. No smoky flavor. It's got just a black tea flavor. And it's hard to believe that only, what was it? Let's see. 15 chests of this. 15 chests of this tea was thrown into the Boston Harbor because this is some good tea. It said this is a Chinese mastery tea. And it took skillful precision to make. And I'm going to tell you what, it paid off. I love this tea. This tea is a 9 out of 10 for me. I could drink a bunch of this. This is a great, great tea. So with that being said, let's take a look at the teas here. Talk about them for just a minute. Talk about Oliver Pluff and Company. And I'm going to give you my favorite tea, which is probably going to shock you. All right, so this is the Oliver Pluff and Company tea set. Teas at the Boston Tea Party that we got here in the mail from Oliver Pluff and Company. One of the coolest items that I have gotten as far as historical context-wise, being able to experience some history. This is a neat item. Now, turn it around so you can see it. So these are the teas we tried. The Colonial Buhi tea. I keep on wanting to say boohoo. The Lamsang Soshang, the Young Hyson, the Singalo, and the Kangao. Now, what I'm about to tell you about which one of these teas is my favorite is going to shock you because it was one of the teas that I said I liked the least. No, it's not green tea. I don't care for green tea to begin with. So I wasn't expecting to come in and actually like the green teas here. But they are very neat to try because this is a cool piece of history to try. But my favorite is this Colonial Buhi tea. One of the ones I hated the most. Why? Well, this Colonial Buhi tea, I believe, is probably the closest taste to or relating to the people that lived during the Boston Tea Party. When I think about it, if I want to kind of experience one of the teas they tasted, I think about that one. And the reason why is because of the smoky flavor to it. I can just imagine it being cooked over a wood fire, being kind of the tea that you're going to have every day because you can't afford the expensive teas, but you can afford this one. or you can make this one. So it's just a tea that relates, I think, to me with the people during the Boston Tea Party that actually lived then. So therefore, since I don't like the taste, even though I don't like the taste, it's still my favorite tea because I can feel that experience with history, that walk with history when I tasted it. So yeah, now my favorite tasting tea was a Kangao. I love that tea. I definitely suggest you guys grabbing one of these, trying it out. If you want one for yourself, well, you can pause the video right here. There's Oliver Pluff and Company, their information, phone number, and website. Pause the video, take it down. We'll leave it in the description below where you can find this and go try this out for yourself. So with that being said, guys, thank you for tuning in to this episode of History Saver 1941 and experiencing a little bit of history with me. Yeah, this isn't the average episode for this channel, but this was cool. This was an experience, and I highly suggest you guys go visit them and try it out for yourself. I mean, you won't be disappointed. This was very neat. So go check it out, Oliver Pluff and Company. We'll see you in the next episode of History Saver 1941.